Hey there, abundant artists. It's Jennifer Joy here helping you get out of your own way so that you can make more money in your creative business. And right now, I am doing a four-part series on emotions. And the reason I'm doing this is because I found that a lot of emotions are running high right now. And I've been working with creatives for more than 20 years, and creatives especially. Emotions can either do two things: completely take us out of our game, or they can also distract us. We get distracted by what's happening with our emotions. Now, I don't need to tell you that there is a lot going on in this world. And the reason I'm doing this series isn't just because there's a lot going on in this world, but I've noticed with my clients and my groups more recently that they have been riding this huge emotional wave where one week they're feeling fine and on top of the world, and the next week they are in a completely different place. So there's been this wide fluctuation. And I have to admit, that's happened for me as well in the last several months. So I wanted to talk about how to navigate the emotional wave because, as I mentioned in our last one, we're in part two of the series. In part one, I told a little bit about my story and being stuck in one emotional frequency and not being able to experience the wide range. And I mentioned about how important it is to experience the range of emotion. Yet, this has been my journey to understand how to manage emotions. So I'm sharing with you today. I should have grabbed the book. Let me just pop back here. For those of you who don't know, I am a master fearless living coach, which means that I was trained at the Fearless Living Institute by one of the life coaching pioneers. I'm telling you, she is phenomenal and was one of the first ones to really bring life coaching to this country. And her name is Rhonda Britton. And this is her book from back in 2004, I think it was published. I might be wrong. Let me look. See, this is why she's a pioneer. Back in 2001. 2001. This was published, her book. It's still in print. It's still a classic, and it is the basis of our fearless living work that we still do around the world in the Fearless Living Institute. And the tool I'm going to show you today, let me just bring it up on my screen for a moment here. Um, it is not liking it. Let's see if I can. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, hopefully you can see this on the screen. I can see it on mine. I'm going to talk to you today about the four A's. And I began this series last week with the first step in the four A's. And today we're going to talk about the second step specifically. So the four A's, again, is a tool from the book Fearless Living, a staple in life coaching and personal development for nearly 20 years, I'm realizing. Oh my gosh. And so let me just scroll down. So there are four A's. The first one, acknowledge your feelings, which we talked about last week. I recommend you go to part one of the series and check that out as well. Today, allow time to process the feelings. Number three, ask what you are committed to. And four, act on your commitments. And this says practicing fearlessness means making conscious choices when you have the power to choose to process feelings rather than stuff, avoid, and ignore them, or let them get the better of you. You are setting yourself free to live the life your soul intended. So that's a brief overview of the four A's. Again, today we're talking about allowing time to process feelings. So let me come back full screen here. So last week we talked about the importance of identifying your feeling and getting that full emotional range. Today, it's about processing the feelings. And I just spoke to my mastermind group about my favorite way to process feelings yesterday during our mastermind session. And I want to start here. Most people don't realize that emotions process through the body in 90 seconds. And there's even research that says less than 90 seconds right now. So emotions process and wash through our bodies in 90 seconds. So that's the chemistry of an emotion. We are designed to process them in 90 seconds. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, gee, yeah, but I'm angry about the thing my mom did 20 years ago, and my best friend ticked me off 2 years ago, and we still have a strained relationship. And oh my gosh, this whole quarantine thing has been like months of frustration, right? So you're thinking 90 seconds does not seem right. 90 seconds doesn't quite seem like it's taking care of my emotions. Yet, what's important to know about this is that the chemistry does wash through our body in 90 seconds. What gets in the way and makes an emotion hang on for longer is our brain. Our brain that keeps reiterating what your mom did 20 years ago and what the best friend did and how miserable you might be right now during COVID or how miserable you might be in the future with COVID. So the mind keeps us in struggle mode. And I was talking to a client about this recently. And I'm just going to use COVID for an example because it's a common experience for everyone right now. No matter how you're rolling through it, it's a common experience. So, if I'm going through COVID and keeping on top of my feelings and processing them and doing what I'm going to recommend right now, I'm riding the wave pretty well. It's like little waves, little waves, up and down and up and down. If I am not doing that, if I'm riding the big waves, then then I'm probably in struggle mode, which means my brain is constantly looking to the past and looking to the future and making up all kinds of stories about how it should be, what's happening that I disagree with. It's all mental energy happening. It's all mental energy. And that mental energy is struggle. So when we add the mental, here we are in a situation that we might not like, but we're not struggling through it till we add the mental piece that stirs up all the emotions. And that is how we stay in struggle mode. So, how do we process an emotion in 90 minutes? Taking our mental energy out of it so it doesn't keep coming back, and yet being able to fully process the emotion. Because when you don't process the emotion, last week I talked about sort of ignoring the emotion. This week, let's talk about what if we don't process the emotion? Here's what that might look like. You might look like that simmering pot just getting ready to boil over with anger or sadness, but it's right there under the surface, right there. Ooh, you can feel it. And other people might be able to feel it too. I know this happens with my husband sometimes. He's had times where I'm like, boy, I feel that anger right beneath the surface, that anger. So it might be that situation, or it might be this. It might be where you have a small thing happen to your life in your life. And this happened to me a few weeks ago, or more than a few weeks. We were still majorly in quarantine, and I ordered a ham from the grocery store. And I didn't get the ham. They were out of ham. Not a big deal. But that day, it threw me. Like my reaction to something that might be a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a huge deal and 1 being no big deal. Maybe this was a 2. My reaction was as if it was like a 7 or 8. So if your reactions, your emotional reactions aren't matching the intensity of what is happening, also a sign you might be not processing your emotions. So, yeah, I flipped out about this ham, but I knew what I was doing. I knew I had to sort of vent it out and process the emotion. I knew it wasn't about the ham, it was about everything else that was going on, which is the beauty of this, the beauty of knowing your emotions and being able to deal with them and navigate the wave. So, let's talk about how to process emotions. Now, here's the thing, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. We can process in 90 seconds, but the mind might get caught up in it again. So I'm going to give you the technique to process in 90 seconds, and then I'm going to give you the process to sort of help take your mind out of the game. And I'm not going to go into either one hugely today. I'm going to give you sort of a brief overview. And then I'm also going to mention this was a last minute idea. I have this online course called the Prosperity Block Breakthrough that talks about this stuff. And it goes more in depth. But today I'm going to give you the basics so that you can move on today, being able to process emotions. And if you want to go deeper, I'll put a link in the comments so that you can go deeper with this training if you would like. So let's talk about processing the emotions. Now, there are many ways to do it. You can journal about your emotions. You can, I was advised to do this a long time ago. I thought it was nuts. And this was early on in my fearless living journey. And I started doing it and it really helped. It was hitting a bed with like a tennis racket or a wiffle bat, just smacking the crap out of a bed. Worked very well at that time. As I mentioned last week, I had a lot of anger that I didn't even realize I had. So it helped a lot to process that. Yet since then, I have found a new method that I find even more effective and quicker, and it's connected breathing. Connected breathing. So it allows me to move into the oh, and yes, I see that my internet has been acting up the past few weeks. So hopefully I stay online for this. So it is connected breathing is where you connect one breath to the next, to the next, to the next, which means you're always breathing. So it's inhaling and exhaling without stopping. No pause in between. Inhaling and exhaling. And what this does is it over oxygenates your body. Now, you don't have to go into hyperventilation mode. You can do it at any speed you'd like, any speed that's comfortable for you. Yet it over oxygenates the body as your body would do naturally if you were in a fight, flight, or freeze situation. You would automatically be breathing more and over oxygenating your body. So, this process of connected breathing allows that type of situation to happen. And again, you don't have to go overboard and hyperventilate, yet it lets that process happen so that your body goes into processing those chemicals in 90 seconds. It automatically happens. So, again, it's in and out. And it doesn't matter nose or mouth. I don't care how you do it, but in and out at your own pace for 90 seconds. 90 seconds of doing that in and out at your own pace. If you need to stop, that's fine. Yet, not, again, just slow down if it feels like too much, slow down. But 90 seconds of connected breathing automatically processes those chemicals through your body. And again, I have an online course that goes through this. It's a 5-week course, goes through this entire process in much more detail. But for today, you've got this now. 90 seconds of connected breathing. That's all it takes. That's like less than most commercial breaks, right? So 90 seconds of connected breathing helps you process the emotional energy. Now, what happens though? What happens if your brain starts going off? So you're like, "Oh, I processed that frustration, and this is what happened to me with the ham. I processed it and it was back. It was back. It was back." So you can repeat the emotional process. If you feel the emotional charge in your body, go ahead and repeat the connected breathing process. However, if it's just starting with the mental chatter, you're noticing the mental chatter coming around about, oh, how I wish things could be different or things should be a different way, whatever it might be, then the process I recommend is actually Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian process that used to be about bringing members of a tribe together who were having dissent or members of a family together that were having dissent. There was this whole Ho'oponopono process. And I also am certified practitioner in Ho'oponopono. And and in the 20th century, end of the 20th century, there was a woman, Morna, and I cannot remember her last name. It's long, it's Hawaiian. Morna really helped bring this to a new personal level so we could use it in our own personal development. And the basic process is I'm noticing the complaining, I'm noticing that I want my life to be different or the situation to be different, or I'm thinking people are doing things wrong. Whatever that mental judgment might be, whether it's about myself or others or the situation, I say these 4 phrases. I say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And it becomes a mantra. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. You say those 4 phrases in any order. You can forget one if you only remember 2, it doesn't matter. But you say those phrases over and over. And what it does is it actually sort of imagine your mental process, your brain like a whiteboard. It helps wipe those mental judgments away so that you can stay in the game, so that you can stay more peaceful, more calm, and not whip yourself up into a drama or a frenzy. So, those are the 4 phrases. And I like to even take them into a little bit more of an expanded version, which again, I was talking to my mastermind group about. For me, I like to apply it directly to the situation. So I like to say, and it doesn't matter if you feel this way or not, it's a mental processing. It doesn't matter how you feel about it if you're like gagging on everything. So I would say, I love and accept this situation. I'm sorry when I judge and when I buy into stories of fear and judgment. When I buy into stories of fear and judgment, please forgive me. Please forgive me when I don't see the divine whole. Thank you for clearing this situation with love and light. Hi, Mary. Hello. Mary's in my mastermind, and I'm just sort of going through some of the things we talked about yesterday as we process our feelings. Let me bring that screen up one more time for other, excuse me, others who might be joining us. This week we are on step 2. Allow time to process feelings. Allow time to process feelings. So again, we process that emotional energy through that breath work, that connected breathing. And if the mental chatter is still happening, then we apply a Ho'oponopono, which in the simplest form is, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And in my expanded version, it's more like, I love and accept this situation. I'm sorry when I buy into stories of fear and judgment. Please forgive me when I don't see the divine whole. Thank you for cleaning this situation with love and light, or filling it with love and light, or whatever language you want to use. It's okay. It's okay. The process doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about processing that emotional energy. So, thank you for joining me, Mary. I'm glad you were able to join me, even though I'm getting ready to wrap up. Thank you for those who have joined me in the past. And as always, I love to hear if you have any insights. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay or a like is your best compliment you can give me. And it also helps keep this video alive in the feeds for the other people in this group. And as I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and in case you, oh yes, Mary, thank you for that. Thank you for that testimonial. She's been doing some of this work and says this has been very helpful with her anxiety attacks. Yes. Thank you, Mary, for saying that, your kind words. And I'm going to go ahead and post that prosperity block breakthrough link in the comments, just in case you're like, okay, I want a little bit more of this. I want a little more background. I want a little more training on this. I've got it. I've got you covered. So thanks for tuning in again. And please leave a comment or a like. And I'll see you next week when we go to step 3, which is, let's go ahead and bring that up one more time. Step 3, ask what you are committed to, which again sounds easy. So might sound easy. Oh, I know what I'm committed to. Yet we're going to give you a top-notch way to really dig in so that you aren't letting your feelings take you out of the game or distract you. Until then, bye-bye.